Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many dreams, how many goals, how many life-changing decisions have you put off, believing you have more time? The truth is, tomorrow is a myth. It's a comfortable lie we tell ourselves to justify staying the same. But deep inside, you know that every time you push your dreams to another day, you're building a habit of hesitation, a pattern of postponement that robs you of your future. It ends today. Because if you want to change your life, if you want to reach new levels of success, you have to understand one thing. Success doesn't wait for you. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't listen to your reasons. It moves forward with or without you. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. To take control or stay stuck. To rise or remain. You don't need more information. You don't need more time to think. What you need is to decide, to take bold, massive action and commit to being the person you were meant to be. There is no tomorrow. Your life is happening now. So what are you going to do about it? We live in a world where tomorrow has become a safety net, an easy escape from the discomfort of taking action today. It's the silent dream killer, the voice in our heads whispering, you can always do it later. But here's the raw truth. Later is the most dangerous word in your vocabulary. It's the breeding ground for regret, the reason why so many people live lives of mediocrity instead of fulfillment. How many times have you set a goal, made a promise to yourself and said, I'll start on Monday, or next month I'll get serious? We convince ourselves that waiting will somehow make things easier, that when the time is right, motivation will magically appear. But it never does it? Because the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is no magical moment when fear disappears and confidence suddenly takes over. You know this. Deep down, you've felt it. The weight of putting things off. The frustration of knowing you could be more, do more, achieve more, but you didn't. And the worst part? Time doesn't stop. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, a year has passed. You look back and realize that the opportunity you once had is gone, not because you weren't capable, not because you didn't have what it takes, but because you waited. Waiting is a habit, and like any habit, the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. You tell yourself just one more day, but that one day turns into a cycle that is incredibly hard to break. And that's the real danger, not just the missed opportunities, but the mindset it creates. Every time you put something off, you train your brain to believe that action can always wait, and before long it becomes who you are. The person who almost did great things, the person who had potential but never fully realized it. But it doesn't have to be that way. You have the power to break free, to rewrite your story, to stop being someone who plans and start being someone who does. And it starts with understanding that the only time you truly have is now. Right now, in this very moment, you can decide to shift, to move, to take action. Because action isn't about feeling ready. It's about making a commitment to yourself, even when you're uncomfortable, even when fear is screaming at you to wait. Look at the people who have achieved incredible things. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't sit around hoping for motivation to strike. They took action when it was inconvenient, when it was messy, when they were uncertain. And that's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's the ability to act when others hesitate. So ask yourself, what have you been putting off? What goal, what dream, what change in your life have you told yourself can wait? And now ask yourself this, what would happen if you started today? Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. What if you made the decision to stop waiting for the right time and instead made this moment the right time? You don't need permission. You don't need another plan. You don't need to feel 100% ready. You just need to take one step and then another and another, because momentum is built through action, not thought. The more you do, the more confident you become. And before you know it, you're no longer someone who hopes, you're someone who creates. This is your wake-up call. The illusion of tomorrow has kept you stuck long enough. If you want to change your life, if you want to become the person you were meant to be, the only thing standing in your way is you. And the only way to break free is to stop waiting and start moving. Because the truth is, there is no tomorrow, only what you do right now. Right now, in this very moment, your life is happening. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Every opportunity, every breakthrough, every transformation you seek is already within your reach, but only if you recognize the power of this moment. Most people don't. They live as if time is unlimited, postponing action, waiting for the perfect conditions. But here's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. They understand that now is all they have, and they use it fully. Think about it. How many times have you looked back and wished you had started something sooner? Whether it's your health, your career, your relationships, or a personal goal, there have been moments where you told yourself, if only I had started then, I would be so much further ahead now. That thought alone should be enough to make you realize that the same mistake should not be repeated. You don't want to look back a year from now and regret not starting today. The problem is, most people are waiting for motivation to hit. They wait for the right mood, the right timing, the right energy, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, and if you build your future on something that fluctuates, you will never create lasting success. Action, not motivation, is the key. The moment you decide to take action, no matter how small, you create momentum, and momentum is what leads to transformation. Imagine standing at the edge of a cold pool, hesitant to jump in. You tell yourself you'll wait until you feel ready, but the truth is you'll never feel ready. The only way to adapt is to jump in. And once you do, your body adjusts. You get used to the water. What once seemed uncomfortable suddenly becomes normal. That's how action works. You don't wait to feel ready, you act first, and readiness follows. Some of the most successful people in history didn't have a perfect plan when they started. They didn't have all the answers. What they had was a commitment to move forward despite uncertainty. They knew that waiting for the perfect moment was the biggest lie of all, because perfect moments don't exist, only decisive action does. You might be thinking, but what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Let me tell you something. Inaction is the biggest failure of all. Every day you hesitate, you are losing time that could be spent learning, growing, and improving. You will never master anything without starting. You will never get better at something you don't do. The people who achieve their dreams aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who keep moving despite them. And let's be real. What's the worst that can happen if you start now? Will you make mistakes? Of course. Will you face challenges? Absolutely. But those challenges are the very things that will make you stronger. Growth isn't found in comfort. It's found in action, in struggle, in pushing through when others quit. Every second you spend waiting is a second wasted. Life doesn't pause for you. Time keeps moving whether you take action or not. So you have a choice. Use this moment or let it slip away. Every great achievement, every success story, every breakthrough happened because someone decided that now was the time to act. So what will you do? Will you continue to wait, hoping that someday everything will magically align? Or will you step up, take ownership, and make something happen right now? Because the truth is, your future isn't created tomorrow. It's built today with the choices you make in this moment. Procrastination is not just a habit. It's a silent killer of potential. It's the invisible chain that holds people back from living the life they truly desire. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It sneaks in with small delays, tiny excuses, and rationalizations that seem harmless at the moment. But over time, these small hesitations turn into a cycle, a pattern of behavior that keeps people stuck. It's not that people lack talent, intelligence, or opportunities. It's that they keep waiting for the right time to act. And by the time they realize how much they've lost, years have passed. The dangerous thing about procrastination is that it disguises itself as logic. You tell yourself, I'll start when I have more time. I need to do more research first. I'll wait for the perfect moment. But deep down, you know the truth. It's not about time, knowledge, or circumstance. It's about fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping into the unknown. And instead of facing that fear, you delay, you hesitate. You put things off, hoping that someday you'll feel ready. But let's be honest, has waiting ever made you feel ready? Has postponing ever led to progress? No. If anything, it makes things worse. The more you avoid action, the harder it becomes to start. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, hesitating to jump. The longer you stand there, the scarier it feels. But once you take the leap, you realize it wasn't as bad as you imagined. The same applies to any goal, any challenge, any decision. Waiting only increases the resistance. Successful people aren't the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who refuse to let fear stop them. They don't give in to hesitation. They train themselves to act despite uncertainty. They know that if they don't take control of their time will control them. The cost of procrastination is greater than you think. It's not just about missed opportunities. It's about the person you become when you keep putting things off. Every time you procrastinate, you weaken your ability to trust yourself. You tell your mind, my commitments don't matter. You lose confidence in your ability to follow through. And before you know it, this habit bleeds into every area of your life, your health, your career, your relationships. Think about it. How many things in your life right now are suffering because of inaction? How many goals have you abandoned simply because you never took the first step? And what would your life look like if you had started a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It's painful to think about, but it's necessary. Because if you don't break the cycle today, you'll be asking yourself the same questions a year from now. The good news is that procrastination is not a permanent condition. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. The first step is awareness, recognizing when you're making excuses. The second step is action, training yourself to move forward even when it's uncomfortable. The key is to start small. If a goal seems overwhelming, break it down. Take one action, no matter how minor, and then another. The momentum you create will make the next steps easier. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just need to begin. Because the moment you do, you take back control. You shift from someone who waits to someone who does. And that shift is what changes everything. So ask yourself, what have you been putting off? What dream, what goal, what life-changing decision have you delayed? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. But the moment you take action, you reclaim your power. You break the cycle. And that's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Don't let procrastination steal another moment of your life. The time to act is now. Time is the most valuable resource you have, yet it's the one thing most people waste without even realizing it. Unlike money, which you can earn back, or opportunities, which can sometimes come again, time is something you never get back. Once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. And the real cost of waiting isn't just the time lost, it's what you could have built, achieved, and experienced in that time. Every delay, every excuse, every postponed decision is a price you pay with your future. People underestimate how much they lose by waiting. They think that putting off a decision until next week or next year won't make much of a difference. But success doesn't work like that. Success is built on momentum, and momentum is built on action. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to move forward. The energy it takes to start now is far less than the energy it will take later when you've lost your motivation, when the opportunity has passed, or when life has become even more complicated. Look around at the people who are thriving in life, those who are achieving their goals, building their dreams, and living at their highest level. They are not the ones who waited. They are the ones who took action even when they weren't fully ready, even when they had doubts, even when things weren't perfect, because they understood that waiting is the fastest way to kill progress. They knew that time wasn't something to gamble with. And yet, most people still wait. They wait until they feel motivated, until they have all the answers, until the circumstances are just right. But the truth is, the perfect moment doesn't exist. There will always be challenges, always be uncertainties, always be reasons to wait. If you keep telling yourself that later is better, you'll wake up one day and realize that later has turned into never. Think about the things you've put off in the past, the dreams you once had but never acted on, the plans you made but never followed through with. What if you had started back then? Where would you be now? Would your life look different? Would you be further along? That feeling, the regret of lost time, is one of the heaviest burdens to carry. And the worst part, it's avoidable. You don't have to look back years from now wishing you had started sooner. You can start today. Some people think that waiting doesn't cost them much, but every second wasted is a step further from the life you want. Every day you hesitate is a day you could have used to build, grow, and improve. And it's not just about big goals. It's about the small choices you make every single day. The decision to wake up early and work on your passion. The choice to invest in your health instead of neglecting it. The effort to develop your skills instead of settling for mediocrity. These small decisions, repeated over time, determine everything. If you want to see the true cost of waiting, look at those who always say, someday I'll do it. These are the people who, years later, are still in the same place, still making the same excuses, still living with the same frustrations. They had the same opportunities as others, but they chose to wait. And in the end, they didn't just lose time, they lost the chance to create a life they truly wanted. But that doesn't have to be you. You have a choice. You can let time slip away, or you can use it to your advantage. You can keep waiting for things to get easier, or you can decide that now is the only time you have. Because the people who achieve great things don't have more time than you. They just use it differently. They understand that every moment matters, that every day is an opportunity to move forward. So what will you do? Will you keep telling yourself that tomorrow is a better time to start? Or will you take action today, right now, and begin creating the future you deserve? The decision is yours. But remember this: time will pass either way. The question is, will you use it or will you lose it? Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It's the foundation of everything you do, everything you achieve, and everything you become. But here's the truth: most people never take control of it. They allow doubt, fear, and negative conditioning to shape their lives instead of consciously programming their minds for success. And that's why so many stay stuck, never reaching their full potential. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act determines the results you get in life. If your mind is filled with excuses, limitations, and self-doubt, that's exactly what you'll create in your reality. But if you learn to master your mindset, to take control of your thoughts and emotions, you gain the ability to shape your future the way you want it to be. Most people live as if their thoughts are out of their control. They let fear dictate their choices, let doubt stop them from taking action, and let their past failures define their future possibilities. But the truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who controls them. You have the power to shift your mindset, to rewrite the stories you tell yourself, and to step into a stronger, more confident version of yourself. Think about this. Every successful person you admire, every high achiever who has done something extraordinary, started with the same fears and doubts as you. The difference? They didn't let those thoughts control them. They trained themselves to think differently, to focus on solutions instead of problems, to see opportunities instead of obstacles, and to push forward even when fear was screaming at them to stop. Your brain is constantly being shaped by the thoughts you feed it. If you tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," or "I don't have what it takes," your mind will believe it and you'll act accordingly. But if you start programming yourself with powerful beliefs, "I am capable," "I figure things out," "I have everything I need to succeed," your mind will shift and your actions will follow. The key to mastering your mindset is awareness. You must become conscious of the thoughts that run through your mind daily. Most people go through life on autopilot, letting old beliefs and negative conditioning dictate their future. But when you start paying attention, you'll realize just how much your thoughts are influencing your results. And once you have that awareness, you can start taking control. One of the biggest mindset shifts you can make is from victim to creator. Victims believe life happens to them. They blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for their lack of progress. But creators take full ownership of their lives. They don't wait for things to change, they make things change. They understand that their success isn't determined by what happens to them, but by how they respond to it. This shift is what separates those who live extraordinary lives from those who stay stuck. When you adopt a creator mindset, you stop making excuses. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop blaming external factors and start focusing on what you can control. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. But mastering your mindset isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's about consistently feeding your mind with empowering thoughts, surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, and taking action even when it's uncomfortable. It's about training yourself to see failure as feedback, challenges as growth opportunities, and effort as the price of success. You are not limited by your past. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are only limited by the thoughts you choose to believe. And if you make the decision today to take control of your mind, to shift your perspective, and to commit to the actions that will move you forward, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Your mind can be your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. The choice is yours. Will you allow old beliefs and fears to hold you back, or will you take control and create the life you truly want? Because at the end of the day, success starts in the mind. And once you master that, everything else falls into place. The difference between success and failure isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's discipline. It's the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. And that's where most people struggle. They rely on motivation, thinking that they need to feel inspired before they take action. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes, and if you base your success on something that isn't consistent, your results will always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, is reliable. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It's the force that pushes you forward when every part of you wants to stop. And the truth is, the most successful people in the world aren't always the most motivated. They are the most disciplined. They don't let emotions dictate their actions. They operate from commitment, not convenience. Most people think discipline is restrictive, that it limits their freedom, but the reality is the exact opposite. Discipline creates freedom. The more disciplined you are with your time, your habits, and your choices, the more control you have over your future. If you are disciplined with your health, you have the freedom to live a strong, energetic life. If you are disciplined with your finances, you have the freedom to make choices without stress. If you are disciplined with your work, you have the freedom to create opportunities others only dream about. The problem is that most people let their feelings dictate their actions. They wake up tired, so they skip the workout. They don't feel inspired, so they put off working on their goals. They wait for the right mood to take action. But if you only do what's necessary when you feel like it, you will never reach your full potential. Success requires showing up even when you don't want to. It requires doing the hard things, the boring things, the things that most people avoid because that's what sets you apart. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. It starts with small choices. Waking up when you said you would, completing a task even when you'd rather do something else, following through on a promise to yourself no matter how small. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your ability to take control of your life, and the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. People often ask, how do I become more disciplined? The answer is simple. You start before you feel ready. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait for a perfect plan. You just take action. One step at a time, one choice at a time. And over time, those small choices compound into massive results. Think about it. Every successful person you admire got to where they are because of discipline. Athletes train even when they're exhausted. Entrepreneurs keep pushing forward even when they face setbacks. Artists, writers, and innovators don't wait for inspiration. They create it through consistent effort. They understand that success isn't built in a day, but rather in the daily commitment to doing what needs to be done. If you want to change your life, you must develop the discipline to take action regardless of how you feel. It won't be easy. There will be days when you want to quit, when you feel like your efforts aren't paying off, but that's when discipline matters most. That's when you prove to yourself that you are in control, not your emotions, not your circumstances, not the excuses that try to hold you back. Every time you choose discipline, you move closer to your goals. Every time you push through resistance, you become stronger. And before you know it, you're no longer just someone who wants success, you're someone who creates it. So ask yourself, are you waiting for motivation, or are you ready to build the discipline that will change your life? Because at the end of the day, discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And the moment you commit to it, everything changes.